Hello, everybody in the house. My name is Robert Ferguson. I'm glad you made it. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. Number one, I'm going to share with you what no one can debate. The number one missing ingredient that I said 98% of people in the United States and Canada and Mexico are missing. It's more like 99%. Now, data goes back 10 years ago where they actually did the work and proved that 98% of folks aren't getting enough. And as a result of not getting enough of this ingredient, many problems come about. It could be as small as dry eye. It could be a malabsorption of iron. It could be increased risk of chronic inflammation that touches on everything from cancer to high blood pressure, insulin resistance, fibromyalgia, gout, lupus, Hashimoto's, and the list goes on and on to the break of dawn. And I'm going to share with you what that is. But more importantly, well, I wouldn't say more importantly, I'm going to share with you something that most holistic physicians, doctors, dietitians, nutritionists, health coaches, people who advocate health don't know. And if they knew, trust me, they would be all over it and they would be sharing with their clients. But I'm going to share it today. And I'm also going to share with you, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, how you can improve your situation as it pertains to this missing ingredient. And I'm not here to sell you. That's not the game I'm in. I've been helping people for a long time. I continue to help people. And everybody watching this will benefit from what I'm going to share. And then, as part of our entire conversation, I'm going to share with you what inflammation is. And I'm going to take the time to do that because I see a lot of people on the internet talking about inflammation. And one of the saddest things is like the blind leading the blind. People will say that they have a product or they have a way to reduce inflammation. But if you ask them, what is inflammation? What do you mean by inflammation? Where does inflammation start? How do you know you have it? Is it based on how you feel? Is it based on being swollen, puffy? Is that what you mean by inflammation? And here's a couple nuggets before we get into it. You don't get inflammation. Your body creates inflammation. So that's number one. So everybody would benefit from knowing that. You don't get it. Your body creates it. Now, I'm under the belief that if you want to improve something that you're talking about, like inflammation, you want to go to the cause. So you need to know where it comes from. What's the foundation? What's the base? So your body is the base. And the missing ingredient is going to help everything. And trust me, the data is very clear. 98+% of everybody on Facebook, everybody in your personal family, everybody that you know are missing this ingredient without question. And many of them will live a big part of their life dealing with various conditions and challenges as it pertains to their health and never know that they were missing that ingredient. And the saddest part is that they didn't have to miss it. They could have actually done something about it. Now, inflammation is your body's response to stress, damage, I'm going to go over that again, and perceived threat. And here's something that you want to know also. What do we mean by perceived threat? Well, that can come from what you eat. That can come from how you live. It could be your environment. I know there's certain cities where you inhale the pollution's really bad. You could be pumping gas and inhale some of the fumes. And here's the part that most people don't know is that inflammation in your body can come from what's happening inside your gut. Yeah. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that is and what we can actually do about it. So we're going to touch on that. Now, before I go there, and let me get myself set up here, I do have a slideshow that I'm going to share with you to help me stay focused and on pace. Because inside of our short time together, I'm going to share with you some real good information that would be good for you to know, good information you can share with people in your family. If you're a health coach or a nutritionist or somebody in the space of sharing wellness, this is information that you would want to share with people. You don't want to keep it from them, right? As Jack LaLanne has shared with me many times when he was alive, if you're excited about something, Robert, don't keep it a secret. Well, I'm excited about this, and I want everybody to know about it, right? So we're going to talk about the missing ingredient. It does have a connection to inflammation in the body. We already know that you don't get inflammation. Your body creates it. We know that inflammation can happen in your body based on stress, from injury, and what you eat, your environment, what's taking place around you, how you live your life. Are you smoking cigarettes all the time? Like, there's many things that can contribute toward inflammation. But the thing I want to really stress today is how inflammation that people experience can start in your gut. Yeah. You're going to learn about a bacteria that's produced in your gut that I think you'll find very interesting. It's called lipopolysaccharides, like going for a ride. Lipopolysaccharides. And they're produced in your gut. And what happens, and I'm going to show you this in greater detail, they leak into your circulation. And as a result, you have systemic, meaning from the top of your head to the bottom of your toe. All of your organs experience inflammation. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you eat that actually causes your gut to produce that bacteria. And we can call it LPS, but I'm going to just keep saying lipopolysaccharides, because it's those lipopolysaccharides that is the gut connection to why many people are just dealing with stress on an ongoing basis. Okay, so why are we talking about inflammation? What's the connection between inflammation and this missing ingredient? Well, I'm going to let Dr. Simopoulos introduce you to why I'm bringing up inflammation. Dr. Simopoulos is 92 years of age as I'm recording this. She'll be 93 in April 2026. I'm a huge fan of her work. She's worked for everyone from the White House. She's a professor. She's an endocrinologist. She's a nutrition researcher. She's a multi-author. She's been published in peer-reviewed papers all over the world. She's the most cited person when it comes to inflammation and omega-6 to 3. She is thebomb.com. Like, she's she's a source. And I want you to hear in her words something very important. Okay, listen to this.
From clinical studies and animal experiments that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases, whether it is cardiovascular disease, whether it is cancer, if it is arthritis. Obesity is an inflammatory disease. Obese people have pro-inflammatory cytokines. People with diabetes.
Okay, let me repeat what she just said. Quote, "We know from clinical studies and animal experiments that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases. She said all. She didn't say a lot. She didn't say many. She didn't say a whole bunch. She said all. So every person that you know would benefit from what I'm sharing with you, because they don't even understand what inflammation is. And they don't realize that they could actually do something about it. So if you did something about all, okay, if you did something about inflammation, I was about to say all inflammation, then you're reducing the risk of all chronic diseases. So let's say that someone says, or you know what? Let me see. Do I have a slide? Yeah. Okay. If you can see this, you guys. Okay. If you're on your phone, it can be a little bit more difficult, but let me put myself up in the top. Okay. These are chronic diseases. Do you know anyone that has gout or lupus? You know anyone who has high blood pressure? Do you know anyone who's living with fatty liver? Maybe they have some challenges with their kidneys. Do you know anyone with PCOS? What about menopausal symptoms? Do you know anyone who has epilepsy? What about anybody with MS, multiple sclerosis? Anyone that you know would like to reduce the risk of one day getting dementia or Alzheimer's? Do you know anyone with dry eye? Anyone? Do you know anyone that has inflammation in the mouth? Their doctor brings it up, their dentist all the time. You know anybody with IBS? Do you know anyone who wants to reduce the risk of cancer? Okay. Then I'm talking to all of those people. So whether you're living in it or whether you want to reduce the risk of it. And you don't have to take my word for it. Dr. Simopoulos just broke it down. So one more time before I walk you guys through these key things I want to share today. We know from clinical studies, that's human beings, and animal experiments, that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases. That's what she said. That's what's right here. Okay? So, let me be the one. You guys remember that song? Now we know already that you don't get inflammation. We know that your body creates it. So let's go over the basics of inflammation. Okay. Let me bring this back up. Boom. Okay. Number one, there's two types of inflammation. You have acute inflammation and you have chronic inflammation, which I'll refer to as low-grade chronic inflammation because you can't smell it, you can't see it, your doctor's not testing for it, you have no idea. But we know that most people are living with low-grade chronic inflammation. We know that because of insulin resistance. We know that according to Tufts University, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, multiple high credentialed and respected institutions, we know that 93% of all adults have some degree of insulin resistance. We know it. Okay. So that's low grade chronic inflammation. It's ongoing. And I'm going to tell you how you can test for it. Actually, and I got a little box here. I'm going to show you this. Okay. And I'm not going to keep you forever. We're going to get to it. Okay. Acute inflammation is a good thing. Like if I cut my finger, then there's going to be some inflammation, and that's going to actually help repair and heal that problem. So acute meaning this is a short period of time. If I sprain my ankle, I'm going to experience acute inflammation. That's short term. We good, right? Low-grade chronic inflammation is what leads to all of those things that none of us want. And if you are experiencing those things, to improve your situation, you want to bring down the inflammation. So like I just had someone who was fighting me on this, has prostate concerns. PSAs were really high. In 6 weeks, we saw him drop like 1.7. And I've seen multiple times PSAs go back to normal and they were elevated and everybody's like concerned. And all we had them do was address what we're talking about right now. And I can go on and on and on to the break of dawn, like this song. All right. So we got the first two down. Okay. We got acute, we got low grade, we got chronic inflammation. Okay. So that's done. Now, when you exercise, I want to focus on this. When you exercise, you trigger free radicals in the body, basically inflammation. Okay. It happens. And that's not a negative because the body adapts to it and it actually helps with being more anti-inflammatory. So people who exercise regularly, even though you're stimulating inflammation, acute inflammation, the after effect is anti-inflammatory. So if you wanted to lower inflammation in your body, become more active, start exercising on a regular basis. So everybody can do that, right? And if you're not exercising, I still have something for you. But this is something to be aware of. Now, when you first start exercising and it's new to you, you don't have that anti-inflammatory effect. Now, it may take a few exercise sessions, but the more consistent you are, the lower the inflammation will be in the body. Okay. So when people work out and they don't look as puffy, inflammation is real. It can show up. You can wear it. But you'll notice if they're exercising, is not that they drop body fat, because sometimes your weight won't even change. You could be the exact same weight, but look in the mirror and be like, man, I'm looking leaner. Or people will look at you and you haven't, they'll be like, what are you doing? They feel like you're doing something because you're not carrying around as much puffiness, if you will. All right. How we doing? What's up, Linda? Actually, I owe you a call, Linda. You're on my map. I got to call you. What's up, Lynn? I got to call you too. All right. So what are the causes of inflammation? Aside from environment, aside from where you live, maybe mold is in the house, or you may be exposed, or you're pumping gas. Okay. Those things can contribute toward inflammation. Maybe you got a lot of stress you're dealing with. That can contribute toward inflammation. But some of the real obvious ones that people can do something about, one would include a sedentary lifestyle. You don't walk, you don't get moving, you're limited as far as how many steps you're getting in a day. You're just not active. And a sedentary lifestyle contributes big time toward inflammation. And then you have increased risks of accumulating fat. Oftentimes, the longer that goes, it becomes visceral fat, the fat around the organs that's not healthy. They could lead to major damage. And once that's starting to happen, inflammation rises. And it can be challenging to start changing it because mentally, maybe you're not in a healthy place to change it, right? It's hard to get up and go, right? Because inflammation is a primary driver also of stress and depression. And they've done studies on this. I've read through many of these studies where inflammation is a driver for depression. Remember, we're talking about low-grade chronic inflammation. You don't see it, you don't smell it, you don't even know you got it because you haven't tested for it. And there's an easy way to test right here. Everybody would benefit from this because once you do the tests and you know where you are, you can change things. Okay. I got a couple notes here to make sure I stay focused. So we're moving on. I'm moving on. Okay. It's hot out. Summertime's here. Spring is forming. Life is great. You're on vacation. You go to Smoothie King. You go get a smoothie. Smoothies may start it out natural with fruit, but are cold and is primarily sugar. And you may be thinking, I'll just add some protein to it. And I think that's great. That is a smart thing to do. But when you consume sugar without fiber, which was in the fruit, well, actually, if you blend it, you got a better chance of keeping some of it. Different than juicing. But high sugar with no fiber drives inflammation. Not good. And you know how like when people they eat something and they go, man, I'm so tired. It's not the sugar that's causing them to be tired. It's the inflammation that's causing them to be tired. And that's not my opinion. Multiple studies. They've done double-blind, placebo-controlled trials on this, you guys. So high sugar intake without fiber. So guess what? I didn't say without protein. I said sugar without fiber. So when I ask my clients, hey, I know you're having a baked potato, but throw in some broccoli with that. Put in a little asparagus with that. Put in some Brussels sprouts with that. Why? The fiber and these things called polyphenols help blunt, reduce the inflammatory response. I'm on fire this morning, man. I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right, let's go to the next one. Oops, I jumped. All right, calm down. Okay. Now, this is I don't know, about 6-7 years ago, I was with someone and having coffee, and I didn't watch them make the coffee, but they brought me a cup of coffee. And I drank it, and I was like, man, this is good. And at that point, I usually would just drink my coffee black, or every once in a while, I add a little bit of honey to it, because I like to have a little honey in my life every day. Okay. Inside of my head joke. But this coffee tastes pretty good. And I found out that they added butter to it. And I remember liking it. And so for about 3-4 months, I was like all about it. And then I heard of these other diets that people were on. I don't know if they were keto or some type of diet where they would add butter to their coffee. And then I remember having a moment when I said, let me look into this. Because my gut was telling me something is off. But yet I knew a lot of people that did it, and they made it almost like their breakfast, because you could do it in a way where it'd be like 300, 400, 500 calories. But if you just take a tablespoon of butter, I don't know, about 100, 120 calories, but it's primarily fat. I was like, okay, what could be the damage with that? But then I looked into it, and this is what the studies told me. Saturated fat by itself, which butter is primarily saturated fat, can trigger this inflammatory response in your body. And if the butter is liquefied, and we're talking primarily saturated fat or seed oils like vegetable oils, then that could be a negative. So I know somebody's like, well, what if I put a little avocado in it? You know what? Drink it black, put a little splash of some cream. It's not too much fat. I think you'll be okay with that. But this is a combination for triggering this inflammatory response, which means inflammation in the body. Okay? And you can look it up, and I can provide you the data. We're almost there. Let's go back. Okay. Now, this is one I want every one of my coaches to know this word like the back of their hand. Lipopolysaccharides. Because lipopolysaccharides is bacteria that's produced in your gut when you eat certain foods. And it's a main contributor to why so many people, to include kids, are experiencing low-grade chronic inflammation. It's the gut connection. I don't care what you look like on the outside. You may be fit. Now, because you work out, that's helping, because working out regularly helps with the anti-inflammatory, it brings that inflammation down. But we know that you're completely out of balance with this thing called omega-3s and polyphenols, because we've tested so many people. So you look the part, but you may not be the part. And that's a fact. Now, let's look at the main culprit for the production of lipopolysaccharides. A high-fat meal, usually processed, you eat it, gets into your gut, lipopolysaccharides are produced. They're just running around. And when that happens, that's the setup for all of the negatives. All of the negatives. So lipopolysaccharides, they come from the gut based on what we eat. Like if I have a big old burger, the bread is going to give me the carbs. That's the sugar. The fat is the mayo, the cheese, like all that fat that goes in there. That combination is going to produce lipopolysaccharides. Now, when this happens, it sets the gut up for what they call permeability. It becomes more permeable, leaky gut. And whatever's in there can easily now get into circulation, which is the lipopolysaccharides. And when they get into circulation, now you have systemic inflammation. And notice little fiber. See, part of the fiber is you're getting these things called polyphenols. Now it's about to get good. It's about to get real good. So any questions on this part? Lipopolysaccharides. Lynn has it now. She's got the word down. Okay, here we go. So now you see I have a woman eating some fried chicken. Let me give you an example of fried chicken. Here's one of my favorite videos. This guy's pretty popular. Hope you can see this. He baptizes the chicken in the oil. Now, there's something to be said about when people do this. And this is my concern with what he does. And if I ever meet him, I'll share this with him. One, I would ask him, do you reuse the oil every time you baptize the chicken? Now, when you go to church and people have fish fries, they're using the same oil. That increases what they call carcinogens. It becomes cancer causing. Look it up. There's a lot of churches out there that be making some fried fish, deep frying some chicken, go to people's houses. We're getting a whole bunch of fat, and the kind of fat that is going to help trigger the production of lipopolysaccharides. Notice when those people eat those foods, they're like, "Whoa, I'm tired, I need to take a nap." Inflammation causes them to feel tired. It ain't the sugar. It's the lipopolysaccharides that have gotten into their bloodstream, their circulation, and creating havoc. Inflammation, which lends itself to all of those chronic diseases that I share with you guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm about to share something with you that's going to be, you're going to want to share it. But if someone doesn't watch all the way up until now, they may not have the same appreciation for what I'm about to share with you. Now, for clarity, there's a way to eat this food and bring down the damage that it can cause. And I'm going to share that with you. Okay. But I just wanted to go here because if I met him, I'm eating that fried chicken. I mean, I went years without even eating chicken, but that chicken looks really yummy. And I will be eating that chicken. Okay. Now, if you look in the top left, you see something that says omega-3s. And it says reduce lipopolysaccharides. Induce inflammation. So the lipopolysaccharides induces inflammation. But you can blunt the effects. Let me explain this way. I use this product right here. Okay. Let me just take a moment. I use balance oil. I endorse balance oil. I think everybody in the world should be on balance oil. And the reason why I like balance oil is because the combination of polyphenols and omega-3s is what I'm going after. It just so happens that this brand has the perfect combination of polyphenols and omega-3s. So I'm not saying that the brand helps with what I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing with you the science that omega-3s help. And if you haven't noticed, I keep going back to fiber, and I know the benefits of the polyphenols. You just happen to get them in this product, and it's the only one in the world like it. So when I'm going to eat my fried chicken, I'm going to do a shot, or I'm going to take a couple capsules before I eat it. And I know what I know. So let me explain it. I wrote it down. Omega-3s by themselves do not stop lipopolysaccharides from being made in the gut. So it doesn't stop them from being made. Okay. Lipopolysaccharides, they come from the bacteria that live in your gut. But the omega-3s can help your body handle it better. And they've actually demonstrated this in double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trials where people were injected saline and people were injected lipopolysaccharides. They've seen the reaction of increased depression, fatigue, and a reduction of lipopolysaccharides getting into circulation. I mean, like some people are just going to eat bad and they're never going to change anything. That's why you want to make sure that you have a balance with your omega-3s in your body, and this balance called omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. You want that. And unfortunately, people don't know they need that because they don't even know about the test. So let me finish. Now, the omega-3s may help reduce how much of the lipopolysaccharides they get into your blood, as I just mentioned, and they help calm the inflammation that is caused by the lipopolysaccharides. If we had to put it in simple terms, the omega-3s act like a buffer, helping protect your body from the damage lipopolysaccharides can trigger. And that's a fact. Okay. I'm almost done. Now, this is a cool one I put together this morning. I wanted to show you guys. I mean, it looks like a lot of just colors and blah, blah, blah. But all of this is taking place inside of the gut. Now, going back to what we know to be true about, I said 98% of people are missing this ingredient. They're not getting enough omega-3s. Now, some of you are like, well, I take an omega-3. How do you know it's working? You don't know. And I've tested 22 people who were taking 22 different products. And when we did their inflammation tests, they failed, which proves their product is not working. So why would you keep taking a product that has a test that will prove to you if it's working or not? Now, some people, their ego will get in the way. Some people will be a little arrogant about certain things. And I get that. You can't reach those people. Some people are obstinate. As the Bible teaches, they're stiff-necked. You could tell them that success is to the left or the right, but they're stiff-necked. They're not looking left or right. They have a confirmation bias that is just what it is. You can't reach those people. You want to reach the people who are looking for the truth, looking for health and help, and they want to optimize. Now, through testing, we know that 98% of the population is not getting enough omega-3s. They're not. And if, like they say, 1 out of every 5 adults over the age of 60 are taking a supplement, but we know that they're not working. How do we know? There's a test. I've had people tell me, they say, you know, Robert, I'm just going to stick to my fish oil that I take. And I said, well, don't you want to test? Nah, I know it's working. How do you know it's working? A lot of people are in this place where they want to stick to their feelings instead of facts. It's how I feel. I know it's working. How? When you could actually just do a test and know for a fact, no guessing. You can know for a fact. Like no guessing. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. But I know you can't help everybody. Now, the world that we live in, people are going to eat fast food. You are. If you want to reduce the damage that takes place when you eat fast food, I would say get the capsules. Like when I travel, I always take the capsules, or do an extra shot. Right? If I go to somebody's house, then I'm going to do a shot before I go. And the cool part is that the life of this product, when tested, is 35 hours. I know it's over 30 hours, 35 or 36 hours. So that means I do a shot. It's in my circulation. It's in my body on the cellular. It's there for 35 hours. So if I take this every day, I'm getting that added protection. Now, you may be thinking, why is it so effective? What makes it work so well? And I'm going to end on this. Okay. I'm going to end on it. I'm going to end on it. Because I beg my kids to make sure they take it every day. I beg them. Because I know what is taking place with people who are out of balance. So there's a balance. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah. And you get these numbers when you do this, by the way. Okay. So you have 2 essential fatty acids, omega-6, and then you have omega-3. I'm talking about omega-3. Omega-6 is in a lot of food that we eat. And so you get these ratios. The ratio is the 2 numbers. So the first number represents omega-6, and the second number is going to be a 1, represents omega-3. So when you get your test, that's what you get. Okay, you get that. Now you want to be 3 or lower. You want that first number to be 3 or lower. So great. If it's 1.8, that's super. What you don't want is it to be above the 3. Now, about half of 1% of the population is here. Most people are going to be 9 to 1 or higher. Most people. And the only way to know is to get the test. That's the only way you're going to know. Now, when you get the test, you get a 20-page report. And on page 5, you'll see this thing that you see on the screen. This is someone's test. Now, when you see red, of course, that's not good, but you can already see that they got 27 to 1. So they're above the 3, which is not good. And all of these markers are telling us something, which is very important. And it also tells us a very important inflammation marker that you're not getting from your doctor. See, when you go to your doctor, let's say you get a C-reactive protein. There's like 3 common tests they use for inflammation. They're measuring certain things in your blood that are a reflection of the inflammation that is in your body, right? You could have an infection, shows up in the blood. This test does something called an AA to EPA ratio, which goes into the cell where you want to be looking when it comes to inflammation. Not what's in my blood. If I eat fish today and I go to my doctor and they draw my blood to see if I have enough omega-3s, what I ate today is going to still be in my blood tomorrow. That's a stupid test. You want to go into the cell and they go into the red cell membrane, which lives 120 days, plus or minus 20. And that's where we're able to go into with this test. And what happens when you do the test? We're addressing inflammation, you guys. And you're making sure you have enough omega-3s. It doesn't get any better than that. You know, I was talking to someone, and I'll say goodbye, unless you guys have some questions. But I was talking to someone who reached out to me, and they said, hey, I'm working with a company. Robert, you'll love their product. And I know this person. I respect them. So I was like, all right, I'm willing to do it. I'll take a call. So they set it up for me to meet this person and have this call. It was on Zoom. And I liked their product. They actually had a good product. And I'm not done doing my due diligence on it because there's a lot of science to it. And I like what they're saying that it helps with. But then I told the lady, and let's say her name is Anita. I'm just making up a name. That wasn't her name. But I said, Anita, I thank you for telling me about the product and arranging a time for me to have this call. But I can't work with you. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, I have shared with you this product, and I have shared with you this test. And I have shared with you that everybody needs this. Like everybody. You can't debate me on it. Nobody can. It's the truth. The world would be healthier if we got everybody in balance. It's not just me. Dr. Andrew Weil is saying that. Dr. Simopoulos, who I featured earlier, Dr. Joseph Hiblin, and the list goes on and on and on. We know there's a problem when it comes to our fatty acid profiles. And I said, I share with you a test. I share with you the data. And you have chosen, and I'm not saying for you to get into the business and be my partner, but how can you be in health and not be a customer of this product? Knowing the truth of health and the role of inflammation. And even her product is produced better by increasing one's omega-3s on a cellular level. I said, the fact that you chose not to use a product that you need tells me you're not someone I could work with. You're only about making money. And you don't got to be my customer, but how can you learn a truth about health and just totally ignore it like it wasn't there? Either you don't have the intelligence to learn, or you haven't taken the time to learn, right? You're obstinate, stiff-necked. You have a confirmation bias. Well, why would I want to be in business and work with anyone like you? I wouldn't. I said, all integrity is gone because you don't even see the integrity of test-based nutrition. And it's almost like it just went right over her head. And at that point, it was clear to me, that's not who you want to do business with. They are not serious about their health. They're just serious about selling a product. And that's what I see on social media. And that's what I learned when I met with direct sales companies and network marketing. That's what I'm not into them. Not all of them, but most of you network marketer people. I can't get with you because you don't value the truth when it comes to health. You only value what benefits you financially. And that's the truth. Because when you know the truth and you have the data that's right in your face and you know that everybody needs it, help me understand that part. So when you meet people who have done direct sales or network marketing and you're in the space, like we have a team here we've partnered with Zinzino. It fits perfectly with me being a nutritionist and what I do on a day-to-day basis. I recommend it to every one of my clients. They don't got to do it if they don't want to, but I'm going to recommend them the truth. So when I've met people who were on the product and then they got off the product and they tell me they're about health, I go, how can you be about health knowing the importance of dealing with low-grade chronic inflammation, but yet not doing what you need to do to fix it, and the fact that we know that there's a test? All right, let me say hi to a few people. Let's see. Lynn is on here. I think she's working. She says, my testimony is perfect. Did all the best micronutrients, high omegas, and a high quality wellness lifestyle, healing from a lifetime brain disorder. And when she did her test, she was 32-1. Remember, the first number you wanted to be 3 or lower. She still had inflammation. Now, where are you now, Lynn? I know it's 5 something. My gut tells me that you may be already down to 3. But, and Lynn is very health wise, fitness oriented, lives the lifestyle, was taking the top branded products. Same thing that Magda said. She was spending all the money with the highest grade omega this and fish oil that. And when we got tested, I kept telling her, I said, do the test. Then we don't got to guess. It's not my opinion. It's not yours. Just do the test. That's all you got to do. And some people have a really tough time hearing us. when the truth is put right in front of them, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get that one clip. If you guys have ever seen Few Good Men, when what is his name? Great actor. Oh, it's killing me. He said, "You can't handle the truth." I need to get that. Because I think there's, for those obstinate folks, those people who are just caught up in themselves and can't hear anything but what's playing in their own brain. They're not looking for the truth. And many of them think that they already know the truth. But once you introduce the test, that changes everything. Okay, so Lynn said that she's 5-1. Well, there you go. I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm going to take us out with Dr. Simopoulos one more time, because you know what? And this is the other thing that I would say for everybody. I wish we could get every expert in the same room and they have different opinions. They have different products that they sell. Certain things will become factual before that meeting is over. Now, they may still sell their stuff, and they may still have their hypothesis or their theories. But some things everybody's going to agree on. And one thing I know that everybody's going to agree on is what Dr. Simopoulos says. Everybody, all the top experts. So I'm gonna play this and make one last point, and then I'm gonna say goodbye.
Know from clinical studies and animal experiments that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases, whether it is cardiovascular disease, whether it is cancer, if it is arthritis. Obesity is an inflammatory disease. Obese people have pro-inflammatory cytokines. People with diabetes.
Okay. So if you have all of the top experts, everybody's in the room, Dr. Simopoulos comes up, I believe everybody in the room is going to agree with what we have on the screen. We know from clinical studies and animal experiments that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases. Now, I keep this in my phone. I share it with people. I get them to agree with it because it's not a fight. Everybody's going to agree with this. Okay, so let's call this a training. What's up, Peggy? I'm glad you caught me. Okay, so imagine this. Okay, Lynn, imagine this. You're on the plane on your way to Las Vegas, which is happening next week. And you're talking to someone and you say, "Hey, I have a question for you." And they go, "Yeah, what's that?" Because you've been talking. Do you agree with this quote? That the base is that inflammation, or you don't even have to bring up the quote. You can say, "Do you believe that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases?" So you guys experiment with this. Like do a post on Facebook to say, "Hey, who believes that inflammation is the base of all chronic diseases?" Question. I would be willing to bet not one person is going to say no. Now, they don't know what inflammation is. They don't know basically where it starts. They can't explain it. But we're at a place where doctors are mentioning inflammation is being talked about. It's being looked at as the major problem. Inflammation is a problem. So everybody gets that. So everybody agrees with that. So then you ask them, "Do you know if you have inflammation or not?" Some of them will go, "Oh, no, I know I got inflammation." Oh, and they'll come up with reasons why. But Okay, so how does that play a role in your life? I think that's why they don't know. So that's why a lot of companies will market inflammation, because it's the blind selling to the blind. You got the person who's selling it don't know, and you got the person who's buying it don't know. But if they knew, it'd be different, right? So in our conversation in this video, we have a way better understanding of what causes it. And we have a way to actually help ourselves. And we can actually do a test and find out if we have low-grade chronic inflammation, instead of guessing and thinking, I think, I may, I feel, I see, I'm puffy. We're just guessing. But in reality, why guess when you can test? I mean, come on. Lord, help me. Now, I know because of the work that I do, like if I go do a talk in a church, or if I go do a talk for a company, I'm going to speak in a way where I'm reaching everybody. And I know that you must have some great analogies. You must be able to speak in a way where everyone's going to get it. Not that you're calling people dumb, but you got a lot of different brains in that room. Some people are multitasking. They're thinking about this. Some people getting a divorce. They're thinking about that. Like their minds are all over the place. So you got to capture their attention. And knowing that there is intelligence, which is the ability to learn. So we got to figure out, how do I share this so people learn? And if I got your attention, which is the hard part, and you agree that the base of all chronic disease is inflammation. Did you know that I can help you with that? And there's something called low-grade chronic inflammation. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it. But it's the forerunner, it's the preface to all chronic disease. And we can find out if you got inflammation on the cellular level through a test. We can put you on a program, take this product for 4 months, do the test again, and then we know if the inflammation went down. Is it working? No guessing. It's all about testing. All right. I think we do have a good conversation opener. I believe that's where it needs to be, Lynn. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's the game changer. That could be the game changer. Because even though other people think they're addressing inflammation, once you're in full agreement, then you say, there's a way you can test for it. What? Yeah. And once you see that you're out of what we call balance, there's a way to get back into balance. So you're not walking around with luggage meaning low-grade chronic inflammation, and not even know it. It's almost like, I have this new analogy, and then I keep saying I'm going to be done, but let me just finish this one last part. I have this analogy in my head going, imagine having a whole bunch of luggage on your back. And it's heavy. And you're tired because it's on your back. But you don't know it's on your back. You're carrying around something. You can't see it. You can't feel it. But you're carrying it around. And eventually something's breaking. It's called chronic disease. So let's find out if you're carrying around some luggage that you really don't want to carry around. Or maybe I call it baggage. Yeah, let's call it which one do you guys think? Luggage or baggage? You see the analogy I'm trying to create? Yeah. Is it luggage or is it baggage? I'm going to say maybe baggage. All right, before I say bye, can someone correct me on that? Is it baggage? Do I call you're walking around and you got this baggage that you're carrying. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it, but it's affecting you. It's called low-grade chronic inflammation. but I have a test that will detect if you're carrying around that baggage. You see where I'm going with this? And then you know, and then we can see how much baggage you got on your back. And then we can do something about it. All right, I think I got something. You know what? This was good. All right. Well, I must have explained it in a way that got you guys' attention because no one said that's a good idea. So baggage, luggage, if you're catching a replay, let me know which one. Do I recall it luggage, baggage, which one's best? And I'm out of here. Okay. Thank you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. If you're catching a replay, if you want to contact me, my contact information is below. If you want to learn more about anything that I mentioned, getting the tests, getting the learning more about balance oil, just reach out to me directly and I will get it to you. So until tomorrow, God bless. Take care.
In a world of times, there's a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see it through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat